there's the siren going for the Fairhaven Homes match of the rounds in the West Gippsland League. Today we've got Cora Lynn versus the Warragul Industrials. And it's a huge contest today. 5th versus 6th, and both teams desperate for a final spot. And today's game means big implications for both clubs. If Cora Lynn are able to get themselves a win today, they are then tied in terms of wins with Warragul Industrials. They'll still be a bit behind on percentage. And if Warragul are to get a win today, then they're getting ever so close to a finals berth. I'm Bailey Allen, your play-by-play commentator, joined by Kyle Plover on special comments. How you doing, Kyle?
Yeah, good, mate. Looking forward to this game. Looking forward to the battle of the big forwards. We got Gardner, and I might just leave you to this one.
And he's led straight in front. So Cobra is quick to hit the scoreboard. Jackson Briggs. He's been playing VFL footy at Casey for some times now. He was a Sandringham Dragon in 2015. And the Cobras get first blood.
Didn't take long there, did it, Dylan? They were quick out of the blocks. A nice burst of stoppage. As I was just about to say before, I was almost rudely interrupted by the Cora Lynn Cobras going forward and kicking the first goal of the game. Looking forward to seeing Gardner, one of the best key forwards going around in local country footy here in Victoria, and Mason McGarity, an up-and-coming star who I think Mason McGarity's kicked 32 and I reckon Gardner's on 31. So they're right at the pointy end of the goal kickers list in the West Gippsland footy netball competition.
And Gardner, he had the title for most goals in the season last year, had 50, inside 50, and that's a nice intercept mark taken, but not quite, just slipped out of his hands there. So ball getting ever so close to the boundary line, and will eventually roll over. Players calling for deliberate, but it'll be a throw-in instead after Travis Ogden, Lachlan Paluzio was able to put it over the line there. So really quick footy to start off. And conditions are perfect today. Almost no wind whatsoever. It's really good conditions in comparison to Dallison last week, our match of the rounds. We had Sean Burgoyne. Gale force winds down there near the ocean in the southern Victoria. So Warragul are able to get it back into possession. Just try to chuck it on the boot there, but was pressured really nicely by Cobra. And whistle blown, and I think it might be pushing it back, and it is. So going in the way of Cora Lynn. They centre the footy. Mark was almost taken there by Cora Lynn. They're going to have to work hard to get here the footy. Warragul continuing to hold possession. They've got a couple entries now. They're looking really good here, the forwards. They just need to lock it in. But Cobra is holding strong in defence. Marked on the wing. That is Jed Edwards. Then a sharp kick along the boundary line. Just stays in play. They're going to keep it inside 50. Wide open man inside. It was a good find there from Jeremy Moncton. And on a tough angle from a fair distance out is Corey Machaya.
Had a good game in round one when we did the match of the round out here at Cora Lynn. Bailey, he was one of the better players on ground for Cora Lynn, who went down that day to Phillip Island.
He's a talented player, Machaya. Also, one of the many Casey players playing today, or at least former, and he's struck that nicely, but goes way left, in fact. And it's hit the post, so we'll have a boundary throw-in, dangerously close to goal.
Yeah, not a bad result, the throw-in instead of the behind.
So, thrown in. They're really close to goal here again, the Cobras. He's able to break himself out through the pack. Is that Briggs again? Yes, it is. 2 goals in about 4.5 minutes. Jackson Briggs. He has been dangerous, the small forward to start off. Breaking through contests in the forward pockets. And he's got 2 majors to start off his day.
Makes you wonder how he's had so much space inside 50, being as dangerous as he is. I'm sure the Warragul coaching staff pre-game would have said be wary of him. He's dangerous. He's got a good burst of speed, so they'll need to be a little bit tighter when going inside defensive 50 there, the Warragul Dusties.
Well, correct me if I'm wrong, but I do believe Jackson Briggs was a member of the 2021 Team of the Year for the the West Gippsland Football League, so you've got to keep more of an eye on him here, the Dusties. So pushing out towards the wing. No one can get a clean possession at the moment. It eventually spills out. Looks like Warragul will get to it first, but in fact they won't. Now they do, so they can move through here. Dishing off. It was a good lead there taken, by Matthew Herbert. We've had a number change. So, ball will roll over the boundary. So Warragul haven't got many clean possessions to start off, unfortunately. They've pushed forward a couple times, but haven't been able to lock it inside 50. So ruck contest out in the wing, as we mentioned before. Now they can move through the middle here, Cora Lynn. Of course, Cora Lynn lost the grand final in 2019 to Phillip Islands. They're a really talented side. They finished 5th last year. About halfway through the season now, desperate for a final spot, as are the Dusties. So, kick inside 50, ball slips. Trying to see what can happen here. We've got a roof in our way here in the commentary box. So, we're now on the broadcast side of the wings. Out again to Briggs. He's been huge to start off. And another mark taken by Corey Machaya from almost the exact same position. A little stab into the kick. Dished off. Ball just fumbling here. Cannot get a clean disposal here. Warragul is just going to have to chuck it onto the boot. To no one's advantage. It'll end up with the Cobras again. Good contest here. Lots of pressure around the footy. They've got the numbers here, though. The Dusties. And whistle blown, going in the way of Cora Lynn. So now they can line up and look for their third major of the day.
Probably two players you don't want getting a good start on things early, and that's probably Briggs and Gardner up forward for the Cobras. So some worrying signs early for the Dusties. They're just allowing a little bit too much space inside defensive 50 at the moment, and they're capitalising the Cobras.
They certainly are. Directly in front. No worries. Straight through. The Nathan Gardner, who won the award for most goals last year. He kicked 50. Yeah, that was actually the same year he won back-to-back. 2020 season was obviously cancelled due to COVID-19, but he won the award in 2019, so he's looking for a three-peat.
He's missed a couple of games this year as well, Bailey, so he's doing very well. I think he's had a couple of bags of 7 and 9. So far this year, so he's on the board early this afternoon.
I believe he sits on 31 goals, now 32 currently. So it's a really quick start here for the Cobras, and as for Warragul, danger signs early. They don't want to let this game get too far ahead of them just to start off, especially for a team that looks like they're going to make finals. So free kick paid. It will be going to Mark Bradley of the Dusties. So dishes it off. Short kick, but went the distance. So now that's Nick Visser inside 50, and that was a nice grab there. Again, by William Thomas. So edges out to the wing. They've been liking to use either side of the wing, not going through the middle too much. Cora Lynn at the moment. So just drives it forward. He should get the mark here. In fact, he does. He plays on. Stab kick, and that is once again Gardner, and he can just dribble it through too easy. It is ridiculous how that man has that much open space in the goal square. He is far too dangerous, and Warragul of having one of the poorest starts you'll see this season. They've allowed 4 unanswered in the matter of 10 minutes. And this is the outfit we have not expected to see. They lost to a formidable side in Inverloch Kongwak last year by 4 goals. Oh, sorry, last week by 4 goals. And to start off, they just haven't been good enough, the defence. There's another free kick paid to Cora, Lynn. So, it's now Matthew Ryan. He'll drive it forward. Gardiner nearly had it. Could have been paid a free, I reckon. And now the umpire blows the whistle. Gardiner wants it. He gets it. He can bang this. Goes a little left, though. Almost has the distance. And it'll go through for a minor score. So, oh, it actually hasn't. Oh, my goodness. I've called it wrong. The goal umpire didn't signal it through as a behind. So, it must have just stayed in. And Corey Machaya was able to go on the right and snap it from about 20 out.
Warring signs early for the Dusties here. Slam on 5 quick goals. They've jumped them big time here. Have the Cobras as Briggs looks like he's going to have a spell on ball now as he comes back onto the ground.
And just the midfield for Warragul has been really slow on their defensive pressure, and their forwards aren't able to lock it in, and then the defenders, they just aren't accounting for their man, leaving way too much space for some of the most dangerous players in the competition. So Bradley taps that out of the ruck, and a high free kick. So now the Dusties have a chance to settle down, move the ball smartly, and they'll call it back here.
Not sure Bradley had to do that. He had the space there anyway.
So inside 50. Can't see what's happening at the moment. I'd love to tell you, but I believe there'll be a stoppage. Maybe it was a free kick paid. I did hear the umpire's whistle go. So they kick it backwards. So Ryan out into the left back pockets, looking for any option. They need to run out to him. He's gone well off his mark, Tim Payne. So he has to slap it on the boot where it's intercepted.
It's a bit better from the Dusties. A few repeat inside 50s. Just try and lock the ball in there and a bit of forward pressure.
100%. And once again, another intercept, this time coming from Dylan Bass of the Cobras. And he came in from Cranbourne in the off-season. He's played as a Casey Demon, as many of these boys have today. So it's actually not even just Casey. There's a fair amount of Frankston VFL boys today. A lot of really good talent in these two sides, but one is definitely outshowing the other in Cora, Lynn. So boundary throw in. Warragul needed score desperately. They just haven't been good enough. And a lot of free kicks paid early, Kyle. I've noticed that the umpires, they're blowing the whistle a lot.
They have been, but as long as they're consistent, I'm all for it.
And it's a nice mark taken by Jackson Mockett.
He was good a few weeks ago against Kilcunda Bass when we covered them out at Western Park on a miserable wet day where Mason McGarity kicked 10.
So Mockett is going to go for it. It's looking good. Does it have the legs? Not quite. It's intercepted at the line by Ryland Smith.
Liked his start. Smith across half-back.
That was really good. Read the distance of the kick perfectly. So Warragul remains scoreless. Mark taken off half-back by Cora, Lynn. So, just options not presenting. Was that 15? It was. Tristan Ferdinand Phillips on that mark. Doesn't have a lot open. Has to go further down the wing. Almost took a good mark there. Was Travis Ogden. We'll have another stoppage. Boundary throw in.
Thoughts on the all-white kit, Bailey? Bit of, I'd hate to be the one trying to wash some of these uniforms at the end of the game, as it's the all-white jumper and the all-white shorts and socks.
Oh, I actually rate it, though. It's a nice looking...
It is a good clash strip, though. I will give them that.
Yeah, some excellent designs on today. I don't mind the Cobras jumpers either. So, going towards half forward, mark taken.
I think it might have gone out of bounds as we're pretty much obstructed completely from that little flank due to the roof, as you can see on your screen at the minute. So we'll do our best.
So, ball's tapped out, remains at half forward. And ball's just going to have to be smacked on the boot there. Mark was almost taken, not before it went out of bounds.
So they've controlled the tempo the last few minutes of the Dusties. They've had it predominantly in their forward 50. They just haven't been able to hit the scoreboard. So if they can try and tussle a few back early, they'll rate themselves to get back into this one.
The midfield has certainly been a bit better. Snaps it on the boot. He gets it. Mason McGarity. And you mentioned before, Kyle, that he's a name to watch. And with poise like that up forward, you wouldn't be surprised if he had a day out. So Warragul finally hit the scoreboard. They're now down by 24 points.
Real opportunist goal, that one. Bailey, something out of nothing. Haven't really seen too much of McGarity early, but just gets his side back into it and gets things rolling for them. Was told a couple of weeks ago that he was playing for the Warragul Seagulls in the Gippsland Footy League, but left and went to the Warragul Industrials due to lack of forward opportunities. So I think they may have let one slip there, the Seagulls. So one man's trash is another man's treasure, as they say.
That's exactly right. And expecting him to have a good game today. He played for the Gippy Power in 2018 and 2019 as the ball pushes forward. Body's crashing the floor. Almost got the hands off there to Anthony Bruin before the whistle's blown holding the ball. So now Warragul get another chance to boot it inside 50. Goes across. That's now with Shane Brewster. Played his 350th not that long ago. I think it was last year. Runs across, avoids his defenders. Through for a minor score. And he played his 350th last year. He's been at the Dusties since 2011. And he played with the Dolphins in the VFL in 2003 and 2004. So,
how old were you then, Bailey?
wasn't even born yet. I'm an 05 baby, so I could not tell you if he was any good at the Dolphins. So ball getting really close to the boundary line. Will we see a stoppage? Perhaps not. Warragul looking really good here. The midfield has been defending a lot better. And another free kick, this time holding.
It's off the back of the Beck brothers through the middle as well. I think they've started to lift their intensity around the footy the last few minutes, and they've been able to get those repeat inside 50 entries that we've spoken about.
Of course, Bailey and Todd Beck, prolific midfielders here. They both played at Gippsland Power together. And Todd Beck, it's actually his first year with Warragul this year. Played with Druin and Nana Goon before this. So he's enjoying a decent year with the Dusties. So Warragul have been much better in the last 7 minutes or so.
Apart from that quick 5-minute burst, it's been pretty even, to be honest. They just jumped them. So, but that can be the difference in a tight game like this.
Snapped onto the boot. Can he get a contested mark? Not quite. Cora, Lynn, that might. They're calling for deliberate, the Dusties. But umpire will throw it in instead.
I'm a bit, don't know about that one. He definitely didn't mean to kick it out there, but where was he going anyway is what I want to know. So might have got away with one there, Cora, Lynn, but we'll have a boundary throw in.
Insufficient attempt, I would have said. So ball off to half forward, or half back for Cora, Lynn. It's an absolute chase for the footy. And have a look at Todd Beck. He's hunting it like a madman. Not before it goes over the boundary line. There's some of the resis. who lost to Cora Lynn before. They're getting around Todd Beck.
Decent crowd out here, out at Cora Lynn Rec Reserve. Not much goes on in Cora Lynn apart from footy and netball these days, so great to see they're still thriving and one of the better teams and one of the more successful clubs of recent times in the West Gippsland footy netball competition.
In 2016, during the census, they only had 200 people recorded living in this town.
Gee, you've done your research,
Yeah.
Bailey.
So it's a tiny little place here in Cora Lynn, but they love their footy. It wasn't that long ago, the Cobras won a three-peat. I think it was Bunyip they bet in 2016. So now they can enter inside 50. Machaya, they're going to count that, they will. So almost the exact same kick as he had before, but on the opposite side.
He looked pretty confident straight away. He had a couple of options on, but he's going, no, I reckon I've got this in me.
So the kick's about 50 out, pretty tight angle. He'd need to do his absolute best here to make it. Runs off the mark, sells the candy, smacks it on the boot. Drifts off right though. And that would have been a highlight if he was to finish. It was like Archie Perkins last night against the Saints.
No, that didn't happen. Nothing. There was no game last night, Bailey. St Kilda had a bye, evidently.
If you didn't know, Carl Pover's a Saints man, and I love my Bombers, so snaps it. Looking good, but drifts off to the left. That was Gardiner, I believe. So behind for Cora Lynn, their first of the day. They've kicked 5 straight before. Beveridge. Assessing his options, gives it off by hands. More candy sold. And then kicks it on the right. Might be an intercept here, not quite. He's able to grab it, but is told to play on. Just able to get a kickoff. Rolling towards the boundary line. Cobras get it first, so now it's Lachlan Pelusio trying to get a kickoff in time. And Beveridge, who's been playing on the back line, is able to take another intercept. Kicks it to half forward. Mark taken. And Cora Lynn not happy about that. Ball spills. Can he turn around here? Directly in front. They're going to find a clean look. Todd Beck, can he do it? He has. That was some excellent footy we just saw. The dishing of hands was great.
Yeah, he took the words right out of my mouth there, Bailey. They didn't just blaze away. They had the numbers and were prepared to use them by hand until they had someone out in space, and great finish there from Beck.
So we've had a really good first quarter here. It looks like it might have got out of hand at first.
It's been a very entertaining start. Both teams have had great patches where they've been able to move the ball quickly, particularly coming out of the back line. So definitely a slingshot style of play from both sides to date.
It's exactly what we wanted for a 5th versus 6th contest with serious finals implications. So just running there, it was Jason Maruno. Gives it off. Goes for goal. That's looking good as well. Goal after goal here in Cora Lynn. High scoring affair, and the Cobras, after a little bit of a drought, are able to get another major.
Stings a bit, that one, for the Dusties. They've had majority of the play over the last few minutes, but Cora Lynn against the tie, which is an unusual thing to say now that they're 24 points up. But yeah, those ones always sting a bit when you have one go against the Tide, and that's obviously on your Totally Workwear Gippsland store scoreboard. And the new store open now out in Pakenham. Nick Gooden out at the Warragul store, he's been telling me just how good the store is out at the new Pakenham location. So thank you very much, Nick Gooden, for passing that on. We'll make sure to keep giving that a shout out throughout the afternoon.
So what do Warragul do here? Back-to-back goals within about 30 seconds, you'd say. And they're now down by 4 goals again, so they're going to need a big response before quarter time. Fakes it was Jeremy Moncton. And uses the hands well was Kyle Beveridge. He's played well off half back. finds an open man who'll play on. That's Michael Debenham, the former YCW Premiership player. So they're now able to get out again, the Cobras. That was really clever. Little spin arounds could be high here. Umpire calls mine. And Debenham was a nice run. As I said before, he won 2 flags with YCW. He was also a development player in the VFL side. Oh, crunched.
He got him good there.
And a free kick was paid. I'm not sure about that, though. That was just a nice, hard tackle. I wouldn't be paying that. Ferdinand Phillips instructs his players to move forward. Finds an option in Chris Johnson. Back to Ferdinand Phillips. So, getting really close to the 50, and once again, Warragul stands up tall in defence. Able to mark it off half back. No one got a mark in the end. Debenham. It was a good kick, but just not a high enough jump and slipped out of his hands there. Ball comes back. Mark taken by Luke Ryan. Brother of Matthew.
Reckon they're just going to try and slow it up here, and they'll take their 4-goal lead going into quarter time. It seems to be the instructions coming out from the Cora Lynn coaching box.
Well, there can't be too much longer left. Oh, poor kick. Went way too low. So they'll go inside 50 again, the Dusties. Mason couldn't take it on that occasion, but it's going to dribble across, and it does. Mason McGarity now has 2 majors to his name, and he's been able to crumb it really well in that instance. And the kick didn't have much on it, but no one was there in the goal square and was able to go through quite perfectly. So we're now about 27 minutes into this quarter. And it's now just seesawing action. I kick a goal, you kick a goal. Can Warragul sneak in one last one to make the margin any smaller? Ball spills out. That was really nice. And once again, Mason McGarity looking dangerous all alone here. High floating kick. Almost took the mark there. Was Kyle Staples. And the Cobras will win on this occasion. It was nice composure as Heath Briggs pushes it out towards the wing. Just trying to get it out into space. Prevent any score from happening to keep the game in their terms. And the boundary umpire will have it back for a boundary throw-in.
Another one here, and they'd be wrapped going into quarter time, the Dusties, considering they gave up the first 5. Kicked 3 of the last 4. They've really had control over the last few minutes, all thanks to Mason McGarity being dangerous up forward. I think 2 kicks, 2 goals.
So Bailey Beck, not 15. They're going to have to go for goal here. Drifts off to the left. Is there anyone there? Oh, it's actually gone through, I believe. It was drifting off to the left, but avoids the post and goes through. So once again, Warragul able to score in the dying seconds of the first quarter. So,
gee, I reckon they'd be ropeable, the Cobra's coaching staff. Let 2 goals in red time. I think the message went out to just tempo, and we'll take a 4-goal lead going into quarter time, and they've managed to score 2, and they might not be done yet, the Dusties.
their pressure has been a lot weaker around the contest. Cora Lynn's, that is. So just entering the centre square. Have a ball up. In the ruck. Couldn't get any tap out to advantage either ruckman in the end. So Bradley looking for any open option. try get at least a behind going into the second quarter. But it'll be an inside 50 instead. Gardner is double teamed. It was really good defense there, led by Beveridge and his back line. Pretty wide kick and another stoppage.
So definitely an entertaining quarter to begin things here out at Cora Rec Reserve.
High scoring as well, which is...
I reckon this is just about being the best quarter we've seen to date all year, Bailey. It's been a really entertaining first quarter from both teams.
Well, yeah, I started commentating West Gippsland midway through the year, and it's certainly the best showcase of footy I've seen so far in terms of a quarter. So McGarity nearly gets to it. Lachlan Pelusio was at the bottom of the pack. McGarity snaps it on the side of the boot. Ball getting really close to Warragul. Can they get one last one? Whistle blown. And I think that was a dangerous tackle. Maybe it was a sling. Ball kicked out. Uncontested mark inside 50. And I'll just try to see who that is. He's going back on the mark.
I think. I'll have a look, but I reckon
That's Travis Ogden.
it's number 3. So yes, it is. It is Travis Ogden. And gee, quarter's gone a lot longer than I thought, although there has been 9 goals scored.
So Ogden lets it fly. Goes through. We've got a game on our hands. 6 points the difference down here at Cora. Just bomb after bomb. And this could shape up as one of the games of the year from what we're seeing at the moment, Kyle.
Well, it's lived up to its potential pre-game. 5th versus 6th going in. It was certainly the match of the round in my eyes, and it has not disappointed to date. It's been an old-fashioned shootout.
And that is just what you want. You don't want stagnation in your forward lines. So, bit of an uneven bounce here. Running onto the ball was Will Gibson. Hands it off. Contested mark just outside 50. Might be outside his range, but he's got players leading. Instead, he'll go for it. Probably won't make the distance and just falls short. And there goes the siren. So after that behind, it's 37-32. Cora lead by 5 thanks to an early burst in the quarter where they kicked 5 unanswered. But then Warragul really fought back and showed how quality of a side they are. And it's now only 5 points the difference. So we'll take a quick break. Quarter time here, Cora leading.
This is a story of a community that likes to work hard, digging, fixing, building, keeping people safe, or just lending a hand. A community that all have one place to come together, where they're spoilt for choice and good service is everything. And although there are stores all over Australia, the owners are as local as they come. Totally Workwear, clothing your hard-working community.
I'm going all the way up. I'm going all the way up. I'm letting go in my heart of everything that holds me down. No. And it's feeling like I've been enough. I can feel the love. Oh yeah, it's all around me.
story of a community that likes to work hard, digging, fixing, building, keeping people safe, or just lending a hand. A community that all have one place to come together, where they're spoilt for choice and good service is everything. And although there are stores all over Australia, the owners are as local as they come. Totally Workwear, clothing your hard-working community.
I'm going all the way up. Ah, I'm going all the way up. Ah, I'm letting go in my heart. Ah, of everything that holds me down. No, no. And it's feeling like I'm in the roof. I can feel the love. Oh yeah, it's all around me.
Winterland whisper in my ear, make my troubles all disappear.
This is a story of a community that likes to work hard, digging, fixing, building, keeping people safe, or just lending a hand. A community that all have one place to come together, where they're spoilt for choice and good service is everything. And although there are stores all over Australia, the owners are as local as they come. Totally Workwear, clothing your hard-working community.
I'm going all the way up. Ah, I'm going all the way up. Ah, I'm letting go in my heart. Ah, of everything that holds me down. No, no. And it's feeling like I'm in the roof. I can feel the love. Oh yeah, it's all around me.
Winterland whisper in my ear, make my troubles all disappear.
So welcome back to the Fairhaven Homes match of the rounds in the West Gippsland League. We've got a match up today between Cora, Lynn and the Warragul Industrials, and I reckon that is just about the best quarter, at least I've seen all year. High scoring and constant pressure on either team to get down there as quickly as they can, but there's been lots of forced turnovers by some good backline performances. I'm Bailey Allen, your play-by-play commentator, joined by Kyle Pover on special comments. And what was your thoughts on that first term, Kyle?
Well, to begin with, it seemed like it was Cora Lynn by how much. They had their Briggs and Gardner kicking the first 4 goals between them for the day, and then kicking the first 5 thanks to Machea as well, who's also been lively. And it was 5 goals in the space of about 7 or 8 minutes, so it really was looking like Cora Lynn, by how much. But credit to the Dusties, they were able to respond, and it came through the agency of Mason McGarity, who was pretty quiet early, and he, to be honest, I think he might have only had the 2 touches, but he's kicked the 2 goals. And it was that first goal that was an opportunist goal. It sort of came from nowhere, and it's amazing what just that little bit of spark can do for a side. And they were all over them, particularly late in that first quarter. So I'll give them confidence as the game goes on that they'll be able to run over the top, the Dusties. And I'm sure Hamid Singh, the Dusties coach, will be wrapped with that first quarter fight back.
And I really liked Matthew Herbert for Warragul as well through the middle. He had a really good quarter, and their forward line was much improved in the second half of that first term. So sirens blown going into the second quarter. Cora Lynn, that's a great tackle there. What Kyle Beveridge, who played well off half back, seems to be in the midfield now. So Bradley is able to hold his player off well enough. Spills out to Briggs. He kicked 2 in the first term. And that's a good read there by Adrian DeSando. He turns it over though. Not before a drop mark, however. Missed opportunity there for the Cobras. Beck, the Todd variety. And pushing the back there for Jackson Mockett, a former Seaford Tiger, left in 2020. At the end of 2020, I should say. It's now going across the wing, so slowing down the tempo here. Warragul, Beveridge, out on the wing. He's got a man screaming for it into Sando. Continues to go down the wing though. Little kick. Briggs nearly intercepted it. In the end, it was Ogden who took a good grab. Can he find any open option? He can! Strong hands.
They kicked this and they're in front. You would not have said this half an hour ago.
No, Jackson Mockett. He did some hard running to get back. He didn't have the ball that long before he got the mark, so sort of tough angle here. About 30 out. Warragul's hit the lead. Can you believe that? They are in front, the Dusties, by a singular point. And as Kyle said, that is not what you would have expected considering Cora Lynn's start. 5 unanswered goals, and now the Dusties are winning this game. They have responded perfectly. And now it's up to Cora Lynn to do much of the same.
Liking Will Thomas's game in the ruck as well. He's probably not quite as big as his his opponent in Mark Bradley. But he's putting up a contest in the ruck and at least halving it, and that's all you can ask for.
He was one of the best on ground against Kui Rupp in round 10 last week. And they were able to get a win in that game by 42 points against the Demons. So Kui Rupp, probably a team you'd can out of finals now. Probably a bit too far back down the ladder. Ball spills out to half forward. Goes. That will be high, but I thought he ducked a little there. Was Brent Irwin. And that's a great mark taken down in the pocket. So another mark taken by the Dusties. Just playing slow tempo footy now. The game is in their control at the moment. Cora Lynn aren't doing much about it. Ball goes over the boundary line right in front of the benches. Cora Lynn, they need a clearance. They need a breakthrough. A bit of spark. Really high floating kick. Can anyone grab it? Not quite. They'll go over the boundary line once again.
They'll take that, Cora Lynn. Gardner's one out in the square, so he's got a bit of space. And they've dropped someone back in front of him now, the Dusties.
So, really big pack there. Whistle blown. And they call for a back. So, free kick going the way of Warragul. And I'll give credit to Cora Lynn. They've had it down their end of the ground for a little bit now. Just moving across the back line. Walker in the pockets was Makari. Continuing to go down the line. Todd Beck. He's had a really good game, as has Bailey Beck, his brother. So centering kick. It's a 2v1. Warragul are in trouble here. They need to get back. Cora Lynn, they have the numbers. Really lucky for Warragul, however, that the ball had a couple odd bounces, but now they're out. Then go through the middle here, the Cobras, but instead they kick it off a bit to the left. That was really good there from Makari. Wants to give it off. Gives off to Beveridge in the end. Debenham hits the floor. Slow to get up, but finds his feet eventually. And then Robert Hill turns it over again. So just lacking any sort of clean disposal. Here the Cobras. DeSando goes for a little run. Finds a wide open man. Far too easy for the Dusties. And now lining up almost directly in front of goal is Mason McGarity, who's looking for his third today.
And rightly so. Coralline's coach is not happy. He's asking the question why a player like Mason McGarity is allowed to have so much space and stand there all by himself inside 50.
So he's about 40 out. Directly in front, you'd say. This is becoming dominance for Warragul. Maybe not on the scoreboard, but in terms of how they're controlling this game, they have put on a performance and a half. I'm loving the midfield pressure. They're always causing these Cobra players to panic and turn over the ball.
They're just controlling the play a lot better as well. They're playing a little bit more of that high possession footy, particularly in the back half, and then they're able to get on their bikes once they get forward to centre. But Coralline just can't get their hands on the footy at the moment.
Well, that's happened a couple of times now, Cole. As you said, they've just been moving it along the pockets in the back line, and then they're able to push it out to the wing, and Coralline aren't accounting for their players. So they're able to get lots of open space and sometimes even go on runs. So hostilities resume. Almost outbodied Wilson McGilveray. Couldn't in the end. Matthew Ryan, free kick. Going to Warragul again. So Todd Beck, he's had plenty of the footy in this second term. 7 minutes in. Not 15, play on. Big floating kick. That's a strong mark. Taken there by William Thomas, and you'd say that'd be the leader for our mark of the day, presented by Fuse by King G. That was a great grab and a pack.
Yeah, it was. Sung his praises earlier, Thomas. Really enjoying that ruck duel between Bradley and Thomas. Two big fellas going head to head. Bradley probably slightly bigger in frame, but I reckon Thomas might have him in inches in height.
So Coralline, they're getting close to goal now, but Makari has had a really good past couple minutes. He's able to pick it off again. Ferdinand Phillips is able to get it back after it was a bit of a rushed kick to try and get it outside of their defensive 50. Big punch. They can go through the middle here. Now the Dusties. A strong mark taken. Once again by Jackson Mockett, who's taken a couple of good ones, Dropping to his knees was Kyle Staples.
He's got the runners overlapping here.
And wide open in the 50 was Kane Oldham.
McGarity saying goals. He's pointing to have a shot. Probably is the scoring end, I would think. It's maybe a tiny advantage in terms of the breeze.
So that's a tough look, but just drifts off to the right of face. And it was for the angle, Kyle. I thought that was a rather good kick on goal.
Yeah, he gave it a good nudge. Although I'm a fan, if you don't have the distance in you, you're better off putting it 10 metres out the top of the square and let them compete, because otherwise it's an easier kill. So it's crucial that you understand how far you can kick the ball, in my opinion.
He seemed to not have a ton of confidence going for goal, but I reckon he had the legs, just maybe not the accuracy. And now there's a big fight going on. What have we got on our hands here?
I didn't see what happened, but something definitely sparked the Warragul player. He pretty much just tackled him behind the play. It's actually going to be a Warragul free kick.
Oh.
So it must have been something that the Coralline player did beforehand that we didn't see.
I think it might be Thomas who might have given away that free kick. So, Beveridge.
You want the ball in Beveridge's hand going inside 50. He's a good decision maker.
Yeah, he played really well off half-back. He's made the move into the middle and has played just as well. Almost marked that. McGarity lurking. Breaks through. He's getting plenty of the footy in the forward pocket. Can they find any opportunity here? Warragul, not in this instance, but they were looking really dangerous after that stoppage. So, there's a Cora Lynn player on the floor. Trainer's running out to him, trying to get the number. So Cora Lynn able to push it out. Makari, he was going towards it. Went to Luke Walker instead, who turns it over to Jed Edwards. He's only about 17, I believe, so a young man here today for the Cobras. A couple players slip. In the perfect conditions, there is absolutely no dew. Might be a bit muddy here. And another intercept mark taken off half-back. So Ferdinand's Phillip.
So it's Ryland Smith that's injured down in the back line. He looks like he's going to come to the bench now. Maybe a left shoulder by the looks of it. Of course, your injury update, all thanks to NNT Uniforms Healthcare by Totally Workwear.
So almost entering inside 50 here for the Cobras. They eventually do. It was a really good smother, though. A great effort from Mark Bradley. And Cobras, they're able to settle down a little bit now, but the scoreboard's still not in their favour after an incredibly strong start. Bradley in the ruck. Players now open. Can he snap that? That's looking good. But I think it might have been out on the full, in fact.
Yeah, that's going out in the full. Looks like it might be Beveridge to bring it back in. I could be wrong.
Yeah, that is Beveridge. Yep. So Beveridge finds...
In my votes, I reckon Beveridge.
Oh, I reckon he'd have my 3 at the moment. He's played outstanding. Gets lots of the footy, and as you said before, he's a good decision maker. And that's a stiff call, I reckon. I thought that was really well played by Will Gibson. I thought that was still in play there, the footy.
Looked like it was in play from our angle, but I'm going to back the boundary umpire. He had the best seat in the house, so we'll back him in. It's a good throw-in, actually.
Excellent throw-in. Sometimes, especially last week, me and Dylan, who's away on a holiday this week, but we noticed how short the boundary throw-ins were and how low they were. But there's another one. So kudos to the boundary umpires. Been having a great performance today. Beveridge lurking. Won the footy in that instance. So now they can find Matthew Herbert, who was good in the first term. He's been a bit quiet since. He finds Debenham, who hasn't been bad himself. Now they go inside 50 again, the Dusties. Getting no clean look of it at all before a ball up. So I wouldn't really say anyone has momentum at the moment. It's been pretty even. Lots of turnovers half back. That's been one of the themes of today. A lot of intercept marks taken. Ferdinand Phillips kicks out to the wing. Oh, that was a great tap there from Corey Machaya. And can't see, just because of the benches. Spills out to a Dusties player, however. Bailey Beck, Beveridge, taken over the line there by a Cobra. And in the end, it was Heath Briggs. First time we've called his name today. That was a bit more of a low one. Socks it off the ground. Who can get to it first? They've got options here. Machaya. They need to go forward. And he'll back himself here.
He had numbers streaming forward, so
Yeah,
he's being told to go back and have a shot. So his teammates reckon he's got it in him.
Irwin's got to make this now. He had about 3 players open closer to goal. Will he do it? Doesn't let his boys down. Straight for 6. Cobras now less than a goal in it. And, you know, I was going to criticise him there for not picking the open option, but I'll eat my words there. That was a great set shot from Brent Irwin.
If you go back and kick it like that, then you're well within your rights to go back and take the set shot, in my opinion. So as long as you put it through when he did, so all is well.
It was a good set shot off half forward for Brent Irwin. Played in that 2019 losing grand final against the Phillip Island Bulldogs.
Now, what's going on here? The boundary umpire has called, so I think he's thinking it's 666, but maybe a head count. Now, what's going on here? I don't actually know what the free kick was for. I don't believe they play 666. So, because the player certainly wasn't running in off the square. They were sort of about 10 metres off the square.
That was interesting. In a close game like this, that's could be some controversy. And that's a great tackle. A brilliant chase by James Maruno. And he'll be rewarded with a free kick. Now he's definitely a bit too far out. Will he run off the mark? He will. High kick inside 50. Can anyone grab it? Gardner was almost there. So Briggsy has it, evades, through! Jackson Briggs is putting on a showcase down here in Cora, Lynn.
I was just about to say he's been quiet the last few minutes, or probably since those early days of kicking the first 2 of the game, and as a champion player does, responds and puts through his third and puts his side back in front, and they've probably been controlling proceedings over the past 7 or 8 minutes, the Cobras, but gee, what a game we've got on our hands. We've said it so many times this afternoon, but this is an absolute cracker so far.
Absolutely. Briggs, he's so talented at evading traffic, and he was able to avoid 2 or 3 dusty players in that instance, and now they can move here. Look at the speed! Maruno! It's a clean look! He's made the distance! James Maruno from the centre square runs, kicks it from 50 out.
I think that's definitely a contender, if not the clubhouse leader for our trade comfort by King G.
And I thought it might have been Briggs with goal of the day at first, but and supporters here, correct me on the name. I said Munro, I think, but it's Munro, not a Cora Lynn local. So
At least it was the right player, though.
I'll take my L on that graciously. So Cora Lynn continuing to push, slips over. Almost could have been incorrect disposal. Got off in the end though. Goes. That's not a bad look either. And off to the left of face. So
what a couple of minutes, Dylan.
yeah,
Dylan, Bailey. Gee, we're getting names mixed up left, right and centre here.
yeah. First it was Munro, now it's Munro. Dylan and Bailey, absolute mayhem here at Cora Lynn. And that's a great strong mark taken. Trying to rip the ball off him, but it was a strong mark taken by Ryland Smith, who we thought might have been injured at first, but he's come back on. Saw him getting attention, but he should be fine. Falls a bit short for a mark. So now you've got Thomas looking for a 50.
He Did well there, the Warragul player. He didn't get sucked in.
So now he finds Fernandes Phillips. And then finds, Machai nearly got it again. Dishes it off, back to Fernandes Phillips. Low kick. It was accurate, however, but couldn't hit the target in the end. Matthew Ryan just slips, and another intercept mark taken. This time coming from Tristan Walkus. Inside 50, Machai again. Who's been important in the last minute or so, and finds a wide open player in the pocket. Jed Edwards, who hasn't missed the game since round 5 after playing some reserves footy.
It's amazing what having a focal point like Gardner can do, because all the attention there was Gardner, and you had Bradley standing back in the hole, try and create that 2-on-1, but it just creates a bit of space for another Coralline forward to run into.
It's not a bad look. And it's gone through. Tough angle on the set shot. And having a look at the Coralline scoreboard, it's a little bit pixelated, but I think it's now 16 points the difference, if I'm not mistaken, Kyle.
17 I've got, but I could be wrong. I'm not the official scorer. So I've got it as 10-2, 62 plays 7-3-45. Which, yep, that's
correct.
It is a bit pixelated, so yep, we're all on good terms.
So, Coralline have been dominant. They've taken this lead in this game right back into their hands. Oh, that was elegant. He's able to run through to an open goal. Hits the post. Oh, no. And Warragul are just looking hopeless.
Haven't those swings of momentum been crucial in this game? It was all Coralline early days, and then Warragul were able to reassert things for pretty much the back end and the back end of quarter 1 and the first part of this quarter, but it's been all Coralline the last 7 or 8 minutes.
And I feel like Coralline's best has been much better than Warragul's as well.
They're a bit more contrasting styles. I think Coralline's is just run, play on, and low possession but high impact footy versus a bit more methodical from the Dusties.
And Coralline, there have been multiple times where they've played on from a free kick or a mark, and they've been able to find open options by hand, and it's led to free lanes of movement, and they're able to just kick straight. And a free kick given away, given to the Dusties. So Mark Bradley taking it. The ruckman just really need to calm themselves down here, Warragul. They're panicking after controlling this game for some time. Bodies hitting the floor. Mockett. Good tackle. Really good pressure. So Walkus pushing through. Shrugs off a tackle. Tries to look for Jed Edwards, but going back was the experienced Shane Brewster.
He's been good across half-back as always. Reliable.
Such an experienced player. He's been playing the game for about 20 years or so, you'd say at the moment. Probably more, actually. And look at the pressure. Couldn't get there in time. So now they go through the middle, looking for Gardner. Takes a great grab. Contested as well. And now Nathan Gardner can go back, and I think he's looking for his third as well, along with Briggs.
He's been a bit quiet as well since the early days, but doesn't need much of a sniff, and just so strong through the core there. He had plenty of people to contest with for that, but just I love how it was a one grab, nice strong mark. Should put this through about 35 out. Not much of an angle to speak of.
Gardner. No worries. Flexes the arms. And now Coralline have complete domination of this game at the moment. Warragul just have disappeared in the last 10 minutes. Have not responded at all.
We won't count them out though, because they've
No.
already hit the lead after coming back from 5 goals earlier in the game. Unfortunately though, they'll look back on it potentially at the end of the game and think, gee, maybe if we just had have stemmed the flow a little bit earlier and got things back on our terms, could be the difference. But as we've said many times, a great contest so far.
All Warragul have to do is put the plug into the bathtub. It's just leaking out at the moment. As long as if they can just get a couple uncontested marks.
So just having a look as well, it's looking like both teams are employing the spare man in defence. Having even numbers around the contest. In fact, no, I reckon, yes, no, so both teams going with the spare man in defence, so even numbers up around the footy.
So we're 26, nearly 27 minutes into this quarter now. Approaching halftime. It can't be too much longer at all. Timekeepers just above our heads in the commentary box. Kicked it off his boot was Herbert. Collects it once again off Beck. Ball pushing forward now. This is really good from Warragul. They just need to find a contested mark. Is that going to be a free kick? It will. But in the way of Cora Lynn.
Yeah, I think he did get him high there. I think that's a good call from the umpire.
Yeah, I rate it. I think that could have been an instance where it could have been 50-50, but Cora Lynn free kick was probably the right choice, and now they're just finding a couple uncontested marks, trying to maybe run out the clock before half-time. So now that's Chris Johnson at half-back. It's a really accurate kick. Finds an open man. Now Ferdinand Phillips. They're now picking up the tempo. Gardiner. He's got Makari on him. Awkward bounce, however. So Makari now in front. And goes over the boundary line. So can Cora Lynn do what Warragul did in that first quarter and get a cheeky last goal before the siren blows going into half-time at the main break? No, they can't. So siren blown down here at Cora Lynn. And it's been a game of momentum, as Kyle Poehler said before in special comments. As we go into half-time, it's 69-45 on the Totally Workwear Gippsland scoreboard. And there's actually been a free kick. My mistake.
No, the umpire is going to call it back in.
I thought there might have been a last possible goal or score there. In the end, it wasn't. So it'll remain 69-45 on the scoreboard there. So been a really great game of footy to watch. Can Warragul get it back? Get this the game back in their hands, slow down the tempo, or Cora Lynn continue this rampage? We'll see after the main break.
This is a story of a community that likes to work hard, digging, fixing, building, keeping people safe, or just lending a hand. A community that all have one place to come together, where they're spoilt for choice and good service is everything. And although there are stores all over Australia, the owners are as local as they come. Totally Workwear, clothing your hard-working community.
I'm going all the way up. Ah, I'm going all the way up. Ah, I'm letting go in my heart. Ah, of everything that holds me down. No, no. And it's feeling like I'm in enough. I can feel the love. Oh yeah, it's all around me.
of a community that likes to work hard, digging, fixing, building, keeping people safe, or just lending a hand. A community that all have one place to come together, where they're spoilt for choice and good service is everything. And although there are stores all over Australia, the owners are as local as they come. Totally Workwear, clothing your hard-working community.
I'm going all the way up. I'm going all the way up. I'm letting go in my heart of everything that holds me down. No, no. And it's feeling like I'm in the roof. I can feel the love. Oh yeah, it's all around me.
Winterland whisper in my ear, make my troubles all disappear.
This is a story of a community that likes to work hard, digging, fixing, building, keeping people safe, or just lending a hand. A community that all have one place to come together, where they're spoilt for choice and good service is everything. And although there are stores all over Australia, the owners are as local as they come. Totally Workwear, clothing your hard-working community.
I'm going all the way up. I'm going all the way up. I'm letting go in my heart of everything that holds me down. No, no. And it's feeling like I'm in the roof. I can feel the love. Oh yeah, it's all around me.
Winterland whisper in my ear, make my troubles all disappear.
This is a story of a community that likes to work hard, digging, fixing, building, keeping people safe, or just lending a hand. A community that all have one place to come together, where they're spoilt for choice and good service is everything. And although there are stores all over Australia, the owners are as local as they come. Totally Workwear, clothing your hard-working community.
I'm going all the way up. I'm going all the way up. I'm letting go in my heart of everything that holds me down. No, no. And it's feeling like I'm in the roof. I can feel the love. Oh yeah, it's all around me.
of a community that likes to work hard, digging, fixing, building, keeping people safe, or just lending a hand. A community that all have one place to come together, where they're spoilt for choice and good service is everything. And although there are stores all over Australia, the owners are as local as they come. Totally Workwear, clothing your hard-working community.
I'm going all the way up. Ah, I'm going all the way up. Ah, I'm letting go in my heart. Ah, of everything that holds me down. No, no. And it's feeling like I'm burning enough. I can feel the love. Oh yeah, it's all around me.
Winterland whisper in my ear, make my troubles all disappear.
This is a story of a community that likes to work hard, digging, fixing, building, keeping people safe, or just lending a hand. A community that all have one place to come together, where they're spoilt for choice and good service is everything. And although there are stores all over Australia, the owners are as local as they come. Totally Workwear, clothing your hard-working community.
I'm going all the way up. Ah, I'm going all the way up. Ah, I'm letting go in my heart. Ah, of everything that holds me down. No, no. And it's feeling like I'm burning enough. I can feel the love. Oh yeah, it's all around me.
Winterland whisper in my ear, make my troubles all disappear.
This is a story of a community that likes to work hard, digging, fixing, building, keeping people safe, or just lending a hand. A community that all have one place to come together, where they're
So welcome back to the Fairhaven Homes match of the round. Down here at Cora Lynn today on a beautiful Saturday afternoon. And Cora Lynn, what a performance at the end of that second quarter. They now lead this game 69-45 on your Totally Workwear Gippsland scoreboard. And Warragul, before I mention Warragul, however, there's been a swaying game. It started off with a Cora Lynn 5-0 start, and they're up by 30 points early. Then Warragul were able to slow down the tempo a bit and really get it back, and they got a couple late ones going into the second term, and they were able to also keep control in the early days of that second quarter. And then all of a sudden they lost control, and Cora Lynn went on an absolute rampage. And now we're going back into the second half, and they have a substantial lead I'm your play-by-play commentator, Bailey Allen, joined by Kyle Pover on special comments. What do Warragul do from here now?
I wouldn't mind seeing them potentially remove the spare man in defence and potentially play one up, that high half forward up around the stoppages and potentially get the ball rolling that way and have it outnumber at the source, because I feel like, particularly in the back end of that second half, it was so crucial, centre clearances and clearances in the middle of the ground. It was really a battle of attrition between the two midfields, and whoever was able to get the first advantage was able to generally get it inside 50 and lock it in there for long periods of time. So, but I also see the flip side to it, where you don't play that loose man covering in the hole, and you've got Gardner in a one-on-one with space ahead of him. So I can certainly see both sides, but maybe just to get back into the contest, maybe they just remove that spare and potentially put that extra high half forward up around the stoppage. But I guess we'll wait and see if they come out and try anything different, the Dusties.
Well said. So they need to move quick here, Warragul, when we do resume play, because if they let even Cora Lynn maybe get 3 or so goals, you'd probably start to count them out a bit. But I won't doubt them, that's for sure. This game has been full of momentum.
What they can't afford, though, is to have Cora Lynn come out and have another period where they kick 3, 4, 5 goals in quick succession, because it will be game over if they're able to do that. That'll put it beyond that 7-8 goal margin. So it's crucial that they certainly get the first one and maybe even the first 2 of this second half, the Warragul side.
And I know it's crucial for Warragul. It's crucial for everyone watching this terrific contest of footy. It's been one of the games of the year, I'd say, to start off. And a poor second half would be disappointing, but I've really liked the play from either team at points. More or so, Cora Lynn, their play's probably been a bit more damaging than Warragul's. The way they enter inside 50 so quickly through the likes of Fernand Phillips especially, he's one I noticed. His leg speed is terrific, and even Tristan Workus as well. He had some great periods there towards half-time where he was able to intercept and starts a passage of play that created scoring for Cora Lynn. But we now go into the second term. Umpire waiting for the siren. Mason McGarity and the Dusties bounce back from a really poor second half of that second quarter. Will Cora Lynn continue their dominance? Continue watching to find out. Siren's being blown. Off we go. So Will Thomas and Mark Bradley still in the ruck. They'll get the clearance here, the Dusties. So here comes Matthew Herbert's contest. Was spoiled in that instance. And umpire nearly trips over himself as he calls my ball. And it's Nick Visser there on the floor. And William Thomas uses the brute strength, able to find Fernand Phillips, who's probably in the conversation for votes today. He had a really good second term. Gardner dropped a sitter in that situation. Bradley dropped it. Along the wing, finds an open player in Travis Ogden. And it's turned over right away. Stood strong and marked a high ball down in defence. So Thomas, spoiled. Thought he had a clean look, but not quite. Fernand Phillips wanted to give it off to Briggs. Goes against it. Calling that a mark.
I reckon that went about 4 metres, that kick.
Yeah, that was not 15, not in any world. So,
dangerous handball.
over the shoulder. And Mason McGarity is not happy about that. Gardner drops back, uses the body. Able to cut it back, center it. And that is a great grab, maybe not. A free kick paid, however, in the way of Corey Machaya, who has been pivotal down at half forward today for the Cobras.
I was nearly about to say you'd almost prefer if it was Gardner the one deep, one out, instead of him kicking inside 50, but equal to the task was his teammate in Machaya, who you touched on. He's been great across half forward. He's probably hasn't had a heap of the footy, but he's certainly dangerous every time he goes near the pill.
So Machaya, Casey Demon former Casey Demon as we mentioned before, former Stingray as well in 2015. Will he slot it? That's looking good. And he does on the set shot. Cora, Lynn have looked awfully dangerous. And I thought Warragul had really good control to start off that game. They were able to get it down their ends. Sure, they turned it over a couple of times, but just like that, some good ball movement from Fernand Phillips and Nathan Gardner. And all of a sudden, this lead is continuing to enlarge. It's now 30 points the difference. And it's still been a really impressive showcase of football today. But Warragul just need to find an answer. Here's Kane Oldham. Hasn't had much of it today. Dishes it off. Got Chris Johnson there. And now that's got to be high. Direct contact to the head and looks in bad sorts, but Brent Irwin is able to get up after a heavy knock to the head. Plays on the left, Gardner. That is clever. Really clever from Nathan Gardner. Knew that his player had overshot the footy, so all he had to do was stop the body and wait for the ball to come to him instead of leading out further. That was really smart. And that is what your top key forward will do week after week, Cole.
Yeah, he certainly read the ball off the boot better there. Just misjudged it a bit, Dusty's opponent. This one will really hurt if he puts it through, I think.
So to extend the lead, 36 points for a bag of 4. He's done it. Nathan Gardner. So I believe he's now up to 35 goals in the season. He's having an excellent year.
Is he at the top now? He'd be close.
Oh, you'd say so. There's not too many in it. So
I know. I was trying to have a look. The new Play HQ, I don't believe, has the goal kicker tally. So I was trying to have a look. I know McGarity. Well, actually, no, they're both on. McGarity was 32 going into the day, and he's kicked 3. So he's on 35. And Gardner has kicked 4, and he was on 31 going into the day. But I believe Gardner certainly missed 2 games. I reckon he might have missed 3 as well. So his goals per game is up around that 4 a game. So he's such a dangerous threat going inside 50. He's certainly one of the better key forwards. You wouldn't even say he's a key forward. He's more of your hybrid, medium-sized forward in country football.
sort of like
He actually reminds me a bit of Tim Membry from St Kilda with the tattoos and plays a bit taller than what he is, and he's quite good in the air, but he's also more than capable on the ground. So, certainly a very good player.
That's a great comparison there, and now we can go on a run. There's Munro. Not quite.
I thought it nearly bounced through there. He must have got a fist on it, the Dusty's defender.
And as he was running there, James Munro, I got the name right that time. So kick on the wing. Oh, that's a great grab taken there by Travis Ogden. That'd be a contender for Mark of the Day as well. Presented by Fuse by King G. There's another really good mark taken by Will Gibson. Plays on. He's in trouble here. He's got absolutely no one. He's being hunted. He's going to get it off. Pressure, pressure, pressure here from the Cobras. Beveridge. And that was great from Gibson. I don't think many other players would have been able to get out of that situation unscathed.
Yeah, he had the composure just to wait until a bit of space opened up, and he toyed with his Cora Lynn opponent.
So now out towards the wing. You've got a leading Jackson Mockets, half forward, nearly smothered. McGarity nearly took it. He's still in this though. Clean disposal, not taken, and should have a stoppage. And umpire taking a while to blow his whistle, but got in the end.
Do apologise for the Cora Lynn faithful out there. Just been alerted that it's not the Cora Lynn Cobras, it's the Cora Lynn Cobras, and it does make sense, not stop Cora Lynn. So depends on which side of the Monash Freeway you're on, I think. But we'll call them the Cobras moving forward.
So throw in from the boundary. And free kick going in the way of the Dusties. I think Shane Brewster will take that. He did take a bit of a fall. Ogden is screaming for the footy. Elects not to choose that option though. Instead, decided to kick it to a pack.
Love that from Thomas. Love a ruckman who's prepared to get back and sit in the hole and help out his defenders.
That's exactly right. He was wide open for that mark as well. But now the Warragul Dusties have it back. Trying to look for the play, and I think it might have been a contested, might have been a pack there actually. Yeah, it'll be a free kick. Oh, sorry, a ball up, sorry.
Bit stiff though not to give away a free kick there, Mason McGarity. Thought he got his Cora Lynn opponent in the back.
So ball now spilling out of the 50 for a boundary throw in. As you can hear the Cobra coaches barking at the players, getting their instructions in, nice and clear. Walker, Beveridge. It's a pretty high kick. No one got it in the ends, but now they're moving really forward with intent here. Warragul, they want ball and they will pay it. So now they've got to look on goal here, trying to get the number, but instead it's an open man, slides to his knees. It was a very good lead indeed by Kyle Staples, who also has VFL experience, had a stint with Coburg in 2016.
Don't worry about the sliding mark. That you want that as a forward. There's that delivery from Ogden every day of the week. That was centimetre perfect, as the great Dennis Cometti would say.
Certainly was. Nothing wrong with the kick inside 50. He's he missed it. He has. It's gone to the right.
An understatement to say they needed that one, the Dusties, and certainly a gettable opportunity.
Yeah, that's big in the context of this day. So now it's 82 to 45. Or it might be 46 now, sorry, just waiting for the scoreboard update at Cora Lynn. So kick, centre inside 50, another intercept mark taken. We've seen a couple of them taken today. It was Vissak decides to not go through the middle, instead kicks it out across. On the pocket, floating for a miss.
Probably a low percentage shot there. Maybe top of the square's a better option in that instance.
Yeah, probably the wrong choice. Yeah, I'd say you're on the money there, Kyle.
Now, I reckon he's kicked it on the full, just having a look here and on the Red Onion Creative Vision. I reckon he has.
So now Warragul should have a set shot, but I think they find another man.
I think it was Gibson that had the free kick, and now he's onto his teammate in Ogden. And hasn't Ogden been impressive this afternoon across half forward?
Yeah, Ogden has certainly been one of the better Dusty players this afternoon. So Ogden, a goal is desperately needed. Can he get his side across? He can't. So
they're having opportunities the last few minutes, the Dusties. They just can't put it on the scoreboard.
And I know there's a lot that could have happened if they were to score a goal, but if you want to think in simple terms, 3 goals, that means a lot in the terms of this game. Pushing the back eye. Look, I think Bradley's taken a bit of a dive there, but nonetheless, a re-entry inside 50. Can anyone grab it? Not quite. Getting close to the boundary line, and it does.
Reckon he might have he did use the body well there, Machaya, but I reckon he got rid of Bradley just a bit too early when using the body, so I think a fair assessment there from the umpire.
So tapped out towards the Cora Lynn end. Now they're out here. Just need to get a clean look at the footy, but Warragul have been really good around the contest in this third term, and apart from that goal that comes to mind from Machaya, from that kick from Gardner, they haven't really had many opportunities to get a clean disposal out, as well as Will Gibson was taken high. High kick. Marks it? No.
Now, what's going on here? I think it might have come off the Coralin player's boot accidentally. It has. Boundary umpire's called out of bounds on the full. It must have come off the Coralin player's boot. So I can't quite see who has it as they're tucked away in the pocket there. McGarity.
Got it, though.
It's that man, McGarity. Who else?
He's got, say his third today, or?
That's his fourth.
Fourth.
So he's been certainly the opportunist this afternoon. He's been, well, relatively quiet in terms of disposals. He's probably only had the 6 or 7 touches, but as good forwards do, when you get your opportunity, he makes the most of it. And I think he's 4. I'm going to say, I'm confident enough to say he's had the 5 kicks for 4 goals. So great efficiency there. But is that the spark that gets things going for the Dusties? It certainly was the spark in the first quarter that got the comeback back on when McGarity was able to make something out of nothing.
So there's now 3 players with a bag of 4. Briggs, Gardner, and now McGarity. And I would say they've had the momentum for a little bit here now. Warragul have played some really good footy in the past couple of minutes. Fernandez Phillips throws the footy, according to the umpire. So Luke Walker wanted to play advantage. Instead it goes to Gibson, who's had a really good third term, I'd say. So kicks, touched and dropped. Knocks his player out of the way. Now going through the middle was Walkus. McGarity has the footy. He's wrapped up by 2. Cobras, however, so ever so close to re-entering. A nice punch from Bradley will do exactly that. Kick, Fernandez Phillips isn't quick enough to get the ball before it rolls over the boundary line.
Just teased him a bit there.
So Fernandez Phillips has been really impressive in this game. Brewster just has to chuck it onto the right. And here comes Ogden again. Ends up instead with Bass. Drops. Umpire calls mine. Warragul continuing to push inside 50. No free kick paid. As Thomas will come back in to the ruck. He isn't going against Bradley. I'm trying to get a look of who that is. Thomas wins the hit out. Wrapped up again, so another stoppage. Almost in the exact same spot. And in fact, it's Matthew Ryan in the ruck for Warragul. And now they're out here. That's straight. Has he made it?
Now, I think the umpires said downfield free kick, which will mean it'll be a free kick from the... In fact, no. It was as he kicked, so it's coming back. Umpire said he was dealt with as he kicked the footy illegally.
So Ogden...
He's been huge in this third quarter.
Hey, he's been the player to really push his team continuously as we now sit on just under 17 minutes into the quarter. The kick here for Warragul is desperately needed. Travis Ogden kicked it across the face.
You heard it on him. As he kicked it, he just said, oh no.
Goes left, and they've missed a couple now, the Dusties. Unfortunate, because they could have really been right back in this if they were able to kick the goals. But each time they miss, they leave more opportunity for Cobra to strike, or the Cobras, sorry, to strike back. Now they're pushing through the middle. Munro spinning, that's got to be holding the ball. Umpire calls play on, however. Workus. Umpire calls my ball. I think that when Gus DaCosta there for Cora Lynn, he's spun into that. I'm still with Warragul there that should be a free kick. So Munro tries to find anyone inside 50. Instead, finds Herbert, who had a good first half. It's been a bit quiet since. Beck. And that's Todd. There was a calm mark taken by Anthony Bruin. It was a good tackle under pressure, and that's a great mark there. Taken by Dylan Bass. But didn't hit a target correctly, however. And is able to take it, Jet Edwards. Right near our camera. Kicks it further down the line. That's a mismatch there. And you saw exactly what I meant there when Gardner was completely outmatched against Bradley. Right back over to Cora Lynn, however. Luke Ryan this time. Brother of Matthew, if you didn't know. Looking for anyone. Warragul have defended this nicely, though. So he's going to have to go back to where they were at before. Punched over the line. Briggs wasn't quick enough to get to his advantage.
Haven't minded Macari's afternoon, despite Gardner kicking the 4 goals. It's been a good duel between those two. Similar body types. Big, strong units. So it's been a good duel between those two at full back and full forward, respectively.
That's a great tackle laid there. Kane Oldham did not have an inch of space there. So a ball up, awfully close to that boundary line. And Bradley was just ran over there. Briggs lurking. Oh! He was knocked off the ball. It was a great block. And yeah, you've been hearing the Cora Lynn coaches all day. Just continuing to instruct their players clearly. They're getting closer to goals now, which spells danger for Warragul, especially considering their situation at the moment. Out into space. That's out on the full. Silly.
Yeah, if it wasn't on the full, I think it was going to be deliberate, so I'm not sure he needed to do that. You feel like it would really sting if the Cobras were able to get one back here, because it's been all Warragul the past 5 or so minutes.
Hill tries to find Thomas, but it was a strong contested mark taken by Bradley. And you're exactly right, Kyle. Another goal from Cora Lynn would do Warragul no good for the confidence.
So 21 minutes gone. You'd think if Warragul can potentially snag 2 late ones, that'll get them within under that 20-point barrier, and they'll certainly back themselves to finish strong, as the umpire's going to pull a free kick for too high there, I think. And it's our man in Munro. Munners, I'm sure his nickname is.
He centres it. Almost a mark taken there by Gardiner. And Machaya will get a free kick. He was taken high in a tackle and 100% deserved that.
Definitely an art to doing that one. He led with the shoulder. Didn't necessarily lead with the head, but he led with the shoulder, and the onus is on the tackler to make sure that you go for the hips, and a little bit clumsy there from the Warragul defender, and this one could really hurt for Warragul's chances.
It's Machaya. He's been excellent today. He's kicked a couple already. And that really hurts for the Dusties. They're in great pain after that one. And Cora Lynn, after a pretty poor third term, you'd say, are able to...
I wouldn't necessarily say it's poor, but I think certainly in terms of who's had the momentum and certainly the more time in forward half, you'd have to say the Dusties have had control of this quarter. They just haven't been able to capitalise on the scoreboard. I think it's 1-4, I'm going to say.
1-4, 1-5.
Something like that. So they've been more efficient when going inside 50, and they're nearly putting it beyond doubt now, the Cobras.
Well, that might be a dangerous tackle.
Like the umpires today, I think they've all been well. Haven't noticed them too much, which is always a good thing. I've said it a long time. I've been saying it all this year. I reckon the standard of umpiring at local level, and it's not necessarily to say that the umpires are at fault at AFL level, but I think with all the rule changes and all the complications and interpretations, it's a much harder job at the top level. So kudos to the local umpires from the Southern Gippsland Umpires Association, I believe it's called out this way. So great job.
So Fernandes Phillips read the ball perfectly and intercepted. Bodies crashing the floor. Makari nearly got it. So now Herbert goes across. Interesting looking kick there. Now back with Cora Lynn. So they dish off by Hare. Munro was the target, but it was blocked nicely by Kane Oldham. Oldham. I've called him Oldham a couple times, mate. So, back near the centre circle. The desperation kick out towards space. Herbert dragged it in. But luckily, in his case, he was able to just get out of under his body. And a ball up was warranted instead of a free kick. So another whistle blown. Going back to Warragul. This time Bradley. And he should keep his spot in the side. He played the reserves against Kui Rupp last week. And he's been really good today, Bradley. Liked how he's played as Ogden takes a terrific mark. Centers inside 50. And goes back against it. It was great defence. However, Ryland Smith is still able to take it.
He's been good across half-back this afternoon.
That was good use of the voice there as Lachlan Peluso. Kicks it. And that's a good punch there. Again by Nick Visser, who's done that a couple of times today already. The 26, nearly 27 into this third term. Siren should be going pretty soon. There's been quite a lot of stoppages though, so I wouldn't be surprised if it went on a little bit longer. Thomas held Bradley under his body nicely. Holding the ball. Warragul to be rewarded with the free kick. So Oldham kicks it across the other side, and there goes the siren. Score sits at 14-4, 85 for Cora Lynn to Warragul Industrials 8-7-55 on your Totally Workwear Gippsland scoreboard, and a big quarter is going to be needed from the Dusties to get this one back. We know they're capable of it. We've seen this happen from either side on multiple occasions this afternoon down here in the small suburb of Cora, Lynn. But whether the Dusties can actually pull it off will be seen. We'll take a short break at 3/4 time, and we'll see you for the last term.
Spoilt for choice, and good service is everything. And although there are stores all over Australia, the owners are as local as they come. Totally Workwear, clothing your hard-working community.
I'm going all the way up. Ah, I'm going all the way up. Ah, I'm letting go in my heart. Ah, of everything that holds me down. No, no. And it's feeling like I'm in the roof. I can feel the love. Oh yeah, it's all around me.
Winterland whisper in my ear, make my troubles all disappear.
This is a story of a community that likes to work hard, digging, fixing, building, keeping people safe, or just lending a hand. A community that all have one place to come together, where they're spoilt for choice, and good service is everything. And although there are stores all over Australia, the owners are as local as they come. Totally Workwear, clothing your hard-working community.
I'm going all the way up. Ah, I'm going all the way up. Ah, I'm letting go in my heart. Ah, of everything that holds me down. No, no. And it's feeling like I'm in the roof. I can feel the love. Oh yeah, it's all around me.
Winterland whisper in my ear, make my troubles all disappear.
I'm going all the way up. Ah, I'm going all the way up. Ah, I'm letting go in my heart. Ah, of everything that holds me down. No, no. And it's feeling like I'm in the roof. I can feel the love. Oh yeah, it's all around me. I'm going all the way up. Ah, I'm going all the way up. Ah, I'm letting go in my heart. Ah, of everything that holds me down. No, no. And it's feeling like I'm in the roof. I can feel the love. Oh yeah, it's all around me.
Winterland whisper in my ear, make my troubles all disappear.
This is a story of a community that likes to work hard, digging, fixing, building, keeping people safe, or just lending a hand. A community that all have one place to come together, where they're spoilt for choice, and good service is everything. And although there are stores all over Australia, the owners are as local as they come. Totally Workwear, clothing your hard-working community.
I'm going all the way up. Ah, I'm going all the way up. Ah, I'm letting go in my heart. Ah, of everything that holds me down. No, no. And it's feeling like I'm in the roof. I can feel the love. Oh yeah, it's all around me.
of a community. A community that likes to work hard. Digging, fixing, building, keeping people safe, or just lending a hand. A community that all have one place to come together, where they're spoilt for choice and good service is everything. And although there are stores all over Australia, the owners are as local as they come. Totally Workwear, clothing your hard-working community.
I'm going all the way up. Ah, I'm going all the way up. Ah, I'm letting go in my heart. Ah, of everything that holds me down. No, no. And it's feeling like I'm in the roof. I can feel the love. Oh yeah, it's all around me.
So welcome back to the Fairhaven Homes match of the round down here in Cora, Lynn. Currently, Cora Lynn are in 14,485. Plays Warragul's 8,755. So a 30 points lead going into the final term of footy. But we are certainly not counting the Dusties out. This game has been a game of momentum. It's been seesawing action all afternoon, in excellent conditions as well. But Cora Lynn, we know their risky behaviour playing footy games, and if their risks are to pay off, they could just get over the line. But Warragul themselves need to take a couple of risks. I was saying to Kyle on the break, they've been playing some pretty calm and composed footy and like to go safe, but I think in this quarter, they really need to start cutting up in the middle. Instead of going down the line every time, they need to use your Beverages and your Travis Ogdens to go through the middle and really cut up Cora Lynn's midfields. But we'll see how they're playing this final term. Bailey Allen on play-by-play commentary, joined by Kyle Pover on special comments. Kicks out to wing the Dusties. Just arms was too short in that instance. Was Wilson McGivleray, sorry. So ball will almost yo-yo back out. Just desperately trying to get out the footy was Irwin. Eventually did. So Bradley floating back against the traffic, however. Gardiner takes a terrific 2v1 mark, and now he can go back and try slot his fifth.
He's so strong in the air. The way he reads it, to be able to hold his opponent under the footy and then just at the right moment push off using his body. Great contested mark there.
And I think your Tim Membry call earlier, Kai, was one of the most accurate things we've heard today. He is exactly like him, appearance-wise and play-style-wise. So we can go for number 5 here, directly in front. That's going to go through with no stress. So he's kicked a bag of 5, Gardner, now leading all goal kickers today. Before that one, he was tied with Jackson Briggs. And, of course, Mason McGarity of the Dusties. And now they're 36 points up in front. And I don't know if you follow this football law, Kyle. I know I certainly do, and my family does, but first to 100 wins.
Yeah, well, I think it's a fact of about, in the AFL, it's over 90% of the time the team first to 100 wins, so
they sit on 94. Another goal for Cora Lynn would get them into triple digits. Chucks it on, and that's a great leap. That's the sort of stuff they need to be doing more in this final quarter. The Dusties. Now, Kyle Staples can go back for a set shot on goal. He missed one earlier down at the other end. Similar sort of kick.
almost identical, to be honest. It's probably a similar distance, similar angle. He should put this through, but we said that last time. If they'd have any chance, it needs to go through.
Sprayed it left last time, I believe. This time is coming back. No.
Might have just overcorrected it.
So he sort of just kicked it straight instead of trying to curve it a little.
continues on their trend of having some opportunities in that third quarter. The Dusties.
So now they can move across, and that is great defense. Forward pressure, that's what they need. McGarity nearly got hands to it. They just need to lay the pressure here, the Dusties. And then there's still a chance. The stoppage will be called and boundary throw-in, but if Bradley can hit out to advantage.
I'm just seeing now, though, so Bradley's behind the ball, still playing that loose man, filling the hole. In fact, it might even look like they got two. So I think they've almost got to go man on man for this final quarter, the Dusties, and throw caution to the wind and just back their mids to win it at the source and get it into even numbers ahead of the footy.
And you're right, Bradley was not in the ruck. It was Jackson Mockett. So a free kick will be paid here to Fernandes Phillips, and fair enough, there was most definitely front-on contact. So does he decide to go down the line? He does. Looking for Gardiner, who punched out in the end. So now Murnau kicks it. Finds a Cobra along the wing. I said Murnau, I meant Munro, sorry. And almost another mark taken there. It's able to snap it. Looking for Briggs. But out in full. Couldn't get to it in time. So Warragul need to move quick here. I know we're only 5 minutes or so into this quarter, but they need to cut it up through the middle. No more of going down the line. Risks need to be taken. Because that is the way they're going to get back in this footy game. So they find Oldham, who stabs it. Found a player there, and that's a high free kick. Going in the way of Bailey Beck, so Gibson now with it.
He's been good today, Gibson.
Especially in this second half. Finds, a decent target, but couldn't take the mark at the end of the day. Todd Beck kicks it back. Sometimes you need to go backwards to go forward, so Bruin centers it. Beveridge was quiet in that third term, but he's had a good day nonetheless. Kicks it towards the pocket. Almost taken. McGarity, he's screaming for it. They need to get it out to him. However, it can't make its way over. And if they found that handball there to McGarity, that would have been a certain goal, and he could have had number 5.
Yeah, again, they had their opportunities inside 50. I think they've listened to you, though, Bailey. They've certainly tried to move the ball a little bit quicker and go through the corridor and be a little bit more direct with ball in hand.
So, handball didn't really go anywhere. It'll be back with Cora, Lynn. And a bit of an error there as it goes over the boundary once again. So, all the way out. That was Herbert who nearly got to it in the end. Just couldn't get it. A good look at it. Now you've got DeSando, who was able to get it forward a little. And free kick paid. That was holding the ball, I believe.
Might have been a high fend off, I think, potentially. He's got Gardner calling for it on the wing in a one-on-one. McKeary.
So, Mockett. Oh, sorry, it was, Moncton. Similar names, the same number. Gardner. It's in a contest here. This is dangerous. Machaya able to find a teammate in the end. Turns it over, however. What can the Dusties do here? They need to move quick, but this is excellent defense here by the midfield of the Cobras. Ryan continues to push forward. Inside 50, Gardner too slow. It is once again Makari kicks it across the face, and finds an open teammate who slipped over as he was kicking it. They're lucky the Sharon had a couple bounces because that could have meant real danger. And now look at Herbert, he's moving. But he's got a player right on his backside. This is really good, entertaining footy we've got at the moment. Outnumbered here, the Cobras. Yet they still win the contest. It was great. Pushes it out to the wing, overcooks the kick a little. So now we might be able to see some more Dusty's possession. Ends up in the hands of Irwin, who's had a pretty good game today. Kicks it. No one was able to get it in the end. And contest piles up before there's a boundary throw in. Oh, sorry, a ball up, I should say. Oh, it's a long, high kick.
Through for a minor score by the looks of it.
Yeah, it is. We apologise for sometimes the breaking call there with the canteen roof blocking the view, but we're working with it. Ball marked.
Can't complain though, it's almost a custom-built commentary box out here at Cora, Lynn in a pretty good spot.
And you don't have, well, we haven't had a commentary box yet. We had the timekeepers box down there at Tooradin a couple of weeks ago, but no spot reserved for us, Kyle. So I'm certainly not complaining at all. It's a pretty good view as well for the rest of the field. Beck kicks it along, and I really like that decision to use the switch there because now they can move with intent. The Sando inside 50. It was read well by the Cobra in that instance, but couldn't get a clean mark. Ball up. They need to get it to McGarity, I reckon. He's their most dangerous player. Him and Ogden, I reckon. I think it was McGarity then who put up a high drop punt. And that might be out of the full, or it won't. It'll just roll over the line instead. So we're now 10 and a half minutes into this final quarter. A score is, or a goal preferably, is needed pretty soon from the Dusties. Snaps it. Punched out, and that's a mark with the one hand held as well. I thought that could have been a free kick, but he got the mark in the end, was Kyle Staples. So he's looking at his third set shot for the day, but he's gone for two behinds.
That's definitely a contender for our Fused by King G mark of the day. I reckon that might even be the clubhouse leader. It'd be tough to beat.
This time he's able to go back and slot it through. So that injects a bit of life and a bit of motivation into Warragul.
Still a lot of work to do, but it's certainly not out of reach for them if they can get a move on. I think now if you're Cora Lynn, you sort of just try and kill the game a bit and slow things up, and you've got plenty of time on your side, and you've still got that comfortable 32-point margin. So, and I certainly think if they've got any chance, the Dusties, they're going to have to bank on kicking 6 goals and keeping Cora Lynn to none. So they just need to, nothing stupid, I think, will be the message being out to his, sending out to his Cora Lynn players from the coaching staff there.
So Bradley back in the ruck, had a bit of a spell from the position earlier. He's back in there against Thomas, however, who's had a really good game for the Cobras, actually. They're smacked out. Could be holding the ball. That's what the Cobras said, but probably not enough prior in the end for Herbert. And Bradley, who has held a fair bit there. What can the Cobras do with that? They enter inside 50. On his right, snaps it. Could this put the Dusties away? Not quite. And that was Matthew Ryan I've seen his number a couple times in this last term. Matthew Riney's had a good performance closing out this game. So it's now 15-6, 95 plays 9-8-62 on your Totally Workwear Gippsland scoreboard. So they can enter inside 50 again and goes up Bailey Beck. You know he had Corey Mackay, and then instead it's excellent reading of the footy. DaCosta, who hasn't seen a lot of the Sharon today, but...
Is this the youngster? Is this the 17-year-old?
He's been a Cobra since 2017, so I don't think he's too young. He could very well be, so I'm not sure. He looks rather young. DaCosta has just about put this game away. Sinks the dagger into the Dusties' heart.
Yeah, I think that's game over now. I just can't see the Dusties being able to kick 7 goals in a half a footy and keep Cora Lynn to none. They've been gallant today, the Dusties, but when push comes to shove, Cora Lynn have been ultra impressive, and particularly that first half, it's been a cracking game of football. The scoreboard at the moment might not reflect that, but both teams have certainly played some high-intensity levels of football. So impressed between these two as they round out the top 6 in 5th and 6th.
So 40 points the difference now. And I probably have to agree with Kyle on that one, that this game has been out of reach, is out of reach now for Warragul, but they've certainly put on a good performance as Bradley hits the deck again. He's done that a couple times already. Herbert, who's played good in this last term, was a bit quiet in the third. Oldham, just little kick on the right, finds Ogden at the top of the arc, who then isn't able to find anyone. McGarity searching for the footy, but goes over for a minor score. So they won't hit 5th today, Cora Lynn. The percentage is just a bit too low, but they'll tie Warragul in terms of points. And then they just need a couple good wins from here. Maybe a bit of luck with Warragul or some lower teams, like maybe Inverloch Kongwak. And they could get a bit of a higher ladder position going into the second half of the year.
What it suggests, we spoke about off air during the halftime break, is anyone in their day in that top 5 or 6 is certainly a chance. So the premiership race is right open this year, despite it must be said Tooradin are probably the benchmark. It's definitely not to say that they're not unbeatable. So it's certainly going to be an interesting second half of the season, and certainly going to be an interesting final series.
Well, Tooradin have been challenged a couple of times this year. They do remain undefeated. So as you said, if you're looking at just the front cover, you probably think the Tooradin's dominated just about everyone. But maybe other than that Phillip Island game and maybe a couple others, I can't recall a really good thumping, and teams like Nanagoon have been able to keep them in check a little as well. So they're a powerful team with Oxley and Piver Wright and players like that, but they're certainly not unbeatable, as you said before, Kyle. So back over.
Just some live scores for you. Garfield 7-10-52, Kilcunda-Bass 8-10-58. So halfway through the last quarter, and there's a goal in that. So can Garfield get up and get their first win of the season? Gee, I reckon there'll be a party at Garfield tonight if they're able to do so.
And Garfield, they certainly didn't play a bad game against Dalston, as a goal is kicked by Noah Glenn of the Dusties and makes the scoreboard look a little bit better.
Inverloch, Comwhack and Nanagoon are also playing off in a tight tussle. It's 8-11-59. Inverloch plays 7-6-48 Warragul halfway through your final quarter.
Well, where are the Gooners now on the ladder? Are they second or third?
Third, I think. I think it's still Tooradin, Phillip Island, and Warragul. I can probably tell you, actually, because it's a click of a button. Fourth, actually. So you've got Tooradin a game clear and a lot of percentage, and nearly 90% clear. Inverloch second, Phillip Island third, Warragul fourth, Warragul fifth, Cora sixth. That rounds out your top six. And percentage will be interesting, actually, because Cora will certainly bridge the gap between the Dussies. They go equal points with them after today, and they'll drop that gap from 8 to about a 3 or 4 percentage points, I would have thought.
So, interesting game here in terms of the finals picture. And I think the top 6 teams are pretty clear of the rest. You'd obviously be counting Garfield out at this stage, and probably Curramborough and Dalston as well. Kui Rupp, they don't have a bad side, but they've probably just been under the benchmark this season. Cora and Warragul have played a really good contest. It's not over just yet, but you'd just about say that Cora Lynn's got it in the bag as a player who was slow to get up there for the Cobras. It was a cheeky little kick. I thought he was going to go straight, but off the side of the boot, really, and kicked it towards the wing. Now, somewhat deep in the Warragul 50. They're able to get it out quickly, though, Cora Lynn. Not before it's intercepted by Nick Visser, who has been pretty good down the back line today. Finds Bailey Beck, who then finds Herbert. And he's been great as well in the midfield. And kicks it. Nothing really wrong with that kick either. Just thought it could have been maybe pushing the back. But play continues on. So Cora Lynn have taken the sting out of this game now as Visser, or Visor, however you'd like to say it, is able to get another entry, not before it exits right back out again. Ryan finds an open man. They decide to centre it. Briggs was there. Instead, he found the leaping Chris Johnson. And then that's too easy. Warragul probably just lacking a bit of motivation now as Corey Machaya can go back and slot number 4, I believe.
Yeah, I think so, but the motivation for them, I think, is to not get blown out of the water, because if they drop their heads and this goes out to 10 goals all of a sudden, then that's where that percentage gap, which will be all important at the end of the year between themselves and Cora Lynn, could be crucial. So every goal is important from here on in.
So Machaya has had a really good game in half forward. And that doesn't really summarise his day with that one as he kicks it off to the right. So we're now into added time in this quarter. Just about 2 minutes over the 20-minute mark. You see some of the cars leaving. Maybe the Warragul fans have seen enough.
It was like me last night.
3/4 time, I heard from Kyle himself.
Lucky that I stayed that long, to be honest.
Don't worry. Look, we've the Bombers, they've had their week, but as a fan, I'm not sure if we've got the Eagles next week. You'd like to think we could get it back, 2 wins in a row, but nonetheless, Ryland Smith, fair kick, about 50 out, you'd say. He isn't going to have the legs. Able to crumb it though. Snap on the boot. That was really good reading the ball there from Chris Johnson. And he played 16 games for Casey's development team in 2015 and 2016. He was a Dandenong Stingray in 2013. And that's a nice finish to his day. He read the ruckman's tap well and was able to collect it, snap it straight away without a secondary thought.
Yeah, it was certainly an opportunist and good roving goal. So the margin now goes beyond that 40-point mark. So, as I spoke about earlier, they wouldn't want to give up 2 or 3 late ones here and let the margin blow out to 10 goals. Because to be honest, it wouldn't reflect the contest that we've had this afternoon, but also from a percentage point of view, they certainly don't want to give the Cobras any leg up.
Especially the first half as well. The first half was so tightly contested, and so it was lots of drama, back and forth. Yeah, the scoreboard, you're certainly right, Paul, does not at all tell us the real story of today's game as Munro turns it over. Punched out, going towards the boundary. Players should get to it first, however. They will. And tap out of bounds came from Ryland Smith, who had a set shot not too long ago. Yeah, Cora, Lynn, they've been pretty accurate today. 17-7. Not many
accurate kicking is good footy, in my opinion. It makes a world of difference if you have your opportunities and you're able to capitalise.
Well, you've even seen how it's had an effect on Warragul today, who I wouldn't say have been...
They haven't been wildly inaccurate, but
Yeah.
they certainly had opportunities that were definitely gettable, particularly in that third quarter when the game was there to be won.
Yeah, they were about 5 or so behinds in that third term, and it has unfortunately left them in a position where they won't win today's game. As Todd Beck marks it off half back, then finds Beveridge, who has gone really quiet in the second term. He would have been on my votes in the first half of this game, but he's cooled off a bit since. That doesn't take away from his performances off half back and in the midfield in the first and second quarters, though. So Herbert decides to go on a little run, tries to find a teammate, and that's a great punch there from Ryland Smith, who's had a good past 10 minutes or so.
Yeah, he's been great all day. I reckon Ryland Smith, his work across half-back, playing that intercept role, just knows when to peel off his opponent at the right time to get back and help out his other defenders. And perfect example there of filling back in the hole and getting that defensive punch away and forcing a defensive stoppage.
So now it's Herbert. Ball just... Warragul struggling to find an open man all day, and there goes the siren. It's around 27 minutes in, the siren goes, and Cora Lynn get an impressive win today, an accurate win. 17-7, 109, I believe it was, in the end.
Yes, it was.
The pixelated scoreboard. Plays Warragul's 10-9-69, and Warragul, they put up a valiant effort, but in the end, that third term, they just missed some opportunities, and Cora Lynn played dangerous all day. They were able to cut through the middle, able to find really good shots at goal. So now we'll take a quick break.
We've got the Fused by King G mark of the day and the goal of the day to get through, Dylan. So I've been making notes throughout the afternoon, so I've got a couple that I want to make mention of. So we'll start with the Fuse by King G. And I just realised I called you Dylan again. Done that about 3 times.
That's all right.
This afternoon. It's a force of habit. This is our first game. It is. It's our first game commentating together. So our Fuse by King G mark of the day. We had a great mark early days from the Cora Lynn ruckman in Will Thomas, who had a pretty good duel all day against Bradley. Both very good, I thought, for both teams. Kyle Staples' one-handed grab in that last quarter was nearly the clubhouse leader, but I've gone with Trav Ogden from Warragul. I think it was in that second or third quarter. It's out on the far, was it second quarter? I reckon it might have been the second quarter, but I'm going to go with Trav Ogden, who he was brilliant across half forward and pushing up to the wing all day. So congratulations, Trav Ogden. You are our Fused by King G mark of the day. And our King G Trade Comfort Max, which is one of the most comfortable shoes you'll ever wear, Dylan. Might I add. I've, again, listed a couple here. So Mason McGarity, as always, he was an opportunist. I've got him down for ×2 because he had 2 very good snaps at goal. One in the first and then one in the third quarter to spark a little bit of a resurgence from his side. But I've given it to your mate, James, what do we call him? Munro?
Munro. Munro was his name in the end.
His name was James Munro in the end. But what did we go with? Was it Munro, I think?
Monaro, maybe I call him?
Monaro, I think is what you called him. But we got it right in the end. There's the Cora Lynn side come in below us, and they'll no doubt belt out the song. So we might even see if we can get them singing the team song. So James Munro gets our Fused by King G goal of the day. So have a listen into the club song. So we just hear the Cobras sing the team song. So we'll go to our votes, Dylan, and I'll go with my 3 first. So I've gone with that man in Beveridge from the Warragul side. I thought his first half was certainly impressive. He did taper out a bit towards the end of the game, but certainly without fault in that first half of trying to get his side back into the game. My 2 votes as I bring up my notes here. My 2 votes going to the man in Jackson Briggs. Again, another one who tapered off a bit as the game went on, but that first half and his ability to hit the scoreboard as an opportunist and get their flow started early in that first quarter. I've given my 2 to Jackson Briggs, and probably no surprise to anyone, but my 3 votes and best on ground in my opinion, Nathan Gardner, who we spoke about pre-game as being potentially the difference, and a 40-point win and a 5-goal return for him. I certainly think he was the difference and gets my 3 votes for today.
And my votes as well would probably be 1 vote. I don't think I'm actually going to go Beveridge in the end. I think his impact in the second quarter probably wasn't big enough in the end, but for vote 1, I'm going to go Jackson Briggs. I think his 4 goals was enough for the 1 vote, and as you said, he quieted down a little bit during the game, but his 4 goals at the start were brilliant. 2 votes, I am going to go Corey Machaya. He played really well off half forward, was able to get a couple of goal assists as well, along with his set shots. So he played a great game today, and I can't go past you on the 3 votes. Nathan Gardner kicks the most out of any today with 5. He was accurate all day, took some really good, strong marks, and likes the way he played all day.
Yeah, I think so. I think it was pretty evident that he was the difference in the end. He probably had his 15 touches, so great return for him this afternoon. Who they move on next week, and I'm just going to have a quick look and see which game we're covering. We're covering the Kilcunda Bass versus Daleston game next week, which I think might have a little bit of heat to it. Now, last week there was a bit of vision of Kilcunda coming off the ground after their upset win against Bunyip, and one of the players was heard saying, when do we verse Daleston? And it was on social media, and I actually saw Peter Dunlop, the Daleston coach, comment on it saying noted. So they've probably put that up on the whiteboard, and a game that might have a bit of feeling in it early. So certainly looking forward to that one out at Kilcunda next weekend.
Well, I don't think Kilcunda's right next to Daleston, isn't it? So the crosstown rivals.
Yep, they would be.
So big contest out there next week. But for now, that will do us all for the Fairhaven Homes match of the round in the West Gippsland League. Cora, Lynn put on an absolute blinder today. 17-7, 109 played, 10-9, 69 for Warragul. We'd like to thank our sponsors, King by Trade G, Comfort Max, Fused by King G, Totally Workwear, Gippsland, and of course Fairhaven Homes as well. So catch us next week for the Kilcunda versus Dalston matchup that should be a fiery contest. We'll see you next week.